Obviously, redshirting's on the table for both of them. No final decisions have been made, but it's tough. It puts you in a tough situation. You play Bryce in a game like this for 3 minutes, it burns a year of eligibility. I wish it was easier. I wish there was, a set number of games you could play a guy like they have in football. I think that would make a lot of sense, for some of these kids, but we don't. So I can only operate with the rules that we currently have, because I want Bryce to have the best college basketball career, the most options in his college basketball career long term, whatever that looks like. And I just feel like throwing a kid with a lot of potential that's developing, he or Mobile, a few garbage minutes. It might feel good now, but potentially, down the line, it could be, something you regret.
Bryce James looks like his dad, even has some of the same mannerisms, and he only has to be a fraction as good as his dad to be a pretty good player.
A few moments later.
I'm just disappointed in Arizona didn't take care of business early, because Bryce James supposed to play this.
You sure? You don't think
Bash, you know this.
Yeah.
Watching. There's a steal, and here goes Bryce James the other way. Splits the defense.
They won't let you remember.
Sorry.
You thought Bronny was bad? Oh, you haven't seen anything yet. Right now, at this very moment, Bryce James is sitting on the bench at Arizona watching his team blow out opponents by 35 points, and he still can't get on the floor. Not even garbage time, not even 3 minutes. And when the coach was asked why, his answer made everything so much worse. This isn't just about basketball anymore. This is about a family legacy crumbling in real time, and LeBron can't do a single thing to stop it. Arizona was supposed to be Bryce's fresh start, a chance to prove he wasn't just writing his last name. The top 25 program rolled out the red carpet for LeBron's youngest son. They knew what they were getting. A 3-star recruit ranked 289th in the country. Not exactly elite, but hey, the kid had 2 million Instagram followers and another 700,000 on TikTok. When Bryce showed up to the Duke game back in November, the whole thing went viral. Arizona wasn't just recruiting a player, they were recruiting a brand, they were recruiting jersey sales. But here's the problem with attention, it shines a light on everything. 3 games into the season, Arizona is undefeated. They beat Northern Arizona 84-49, a complete blowout. Kind of game where coaches empty the bench and give everyone a chance to play. Except Bryce James never saw the court, not 1 second, and that's when head coach Tommy Lloyd had to address the elephant in the gym. Lloyd came right out and said it. Redshirting is on the table for Bryce. Translation? The kid isn't ready. Playing him for even 3 minutes in a blowout would burn an entire year of eligibility. Lloyd said he wants Bryce to have the best possible college career with the most options long term. Real translation? We need to protect this kid from himself, because if we throw him out there right now, everyone's going to see he's not built for this level yet.
Just disappointed in Arizona didn't take care of business early, because Bryce James supposed to play this. You owe
sure?
that.
You don't think
Bash, you know this.
Yeah.
They're a young team.
Yeah.
So they didn't take care of business in the first half. They were only up 7.
Correct.
But your players that is starting and getting the big minutes, Coach, you know this.
Oh, yeah.
You owe those guys at the end of the
right.
bench to take care of business to get them in the game
So
on
is that
national
the
TV.
motivation after this? Like, we need to take care so that your teammates can get in the game.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. These guys work hard all week long in practice, and they know, hey, there aren't a lot of games on Arizona's schedule. They're going to be up 20 late. This was one of them. But the guys got in. A lot of guys got some time.
They did.
Arizona
They did.
built that bench up a little bit.
Arizona is competing against UCLA and UConn with legitimate NBA prospects on the roster. And Bryce James can't crack the rotation in a 35-point blowout. Speaking of struggling, let's talk about where Bronny is right now. Bronny James is averaging 2.1 points per game with the Lakers. 2 points, his shooting percentage, 29.6% from the field. He's pulling down less than 1 rebound a game. The Lakers gave him a start against the Bucks because they needed bodies. He finished with 5 points. The internet celebrated like he just won Finals MVP. That's how low the bar has dropped. Bronny averaged 4.8 points at USC 1 year of college basketball where he barely made an impact. Then the Lakers used the 55th pick in the draft on him. Bronny not only made the roster, he got to play alongside his dad. First father-son duo in NBA history. Beautiful moment. Great for marketing. But once that moment was over, reality set in hard. Rich Paul, his agent, reportedly told other teams not to draft Bronny or he'd play overseas. The Lakers were the only safe landing spot. Then came November 6th, the night everyone will remember, Lakers versus Spurs. Victor Wembanyama caught the ball in the corner. He pump-faked Rui Hachimura, took one dribble from outside the 3-point line, and rose up for a dunk. Bronny James tried to help. He jumped to contest. Big mistake. Wemby threw it down right over him. It wasn't even close. The NBA's official account posted the clip in slow motion with the caption, "You ever seen an alien fly?" It went nuclear on social media. That dunk wasn't just a highlight. It was a statement about the gap between hype and reality. Here's something that'll blow your mind. Marcus Jordan, Michael Jordan's son, averaged more points in college than both Bronny and Bryce James combined. Marcus played at UCF. Not a basketball powerhouse. He wasn't a McDonald's All-American, but he put up actual numbers. He earned his minutes, and nobody talks about him because he didn't try to force his way into the NBA when he wasn't ready. He played college ball, had a decent career, and moved on. No drama, no embarrassment, no viral poster dunks. Michael Jordan didn't try to manipulate the system to get Marcus into the league. LeBron, on the other hand, is watching both of his sons struggle in situations they're not prepared for. Maybe having the best trainers and facilities doesn't matter if the raw talent isn't there. Basketball skill isn't genetic, and being LeBron's son doesn't make you LeBron. Now let's talk about someone who's actually doing it right. Carmelo Anthony just dropped 15 points in his Syracuse debut. 15 points on 6 of 10 shooting with 3 rebounds and 3 assists in 28 minutes. Real minutes. Syracuse won 85-47, and Keon looked like he belonged out there. Keon is ranked 36th in his recruiting class, not top 10. Just a solid 4-star recruit who happens to be the son of a legend. But unlike Bryce and Bronny, Keon didn't get rushed into a situation he couldn't handle. He committed to Syracuse because they sold him on development. Coach Adrian Autry told him it doesn't matter what his dad did in 2003. He'd have to earn it. Carmelo's approach is completely different from LeBron's. Melo isn't trying to live through his son. He's letting Keon develop at his own pace. Keon talks about working on his mid-range game with his dad every day. He's learning. He's growing. And most importantly, he's actually playing basketball. Syracuse fans are excited about Keon, not because he's Carmelo's son, but because he's showing real potential. Bryce came to Arizona behind guys like Braden Burries, a 5-star California Gatorade Player of the Year, and Koa Pete, a 5-star power forward who's already making an impact. These dudes earned their scholarships through performance, not Instagram followers. Tommy Lloyd is in an impossible position. Arizona is trying to compete in the Big 12. They can't afford to give charity minutes to a kid who isn't ready just because his dad is LeBron James. So Lloyd made the tough call. Redshirt him. It's probably the right move, but it's also embarrassing as hell. Think about what Bryce must be feeling. He committed with cameras following his every move. He showed up ready to prove himself, and then reality punched him in the mouth. He's watching his team play teams like Embry-Riddle, teams nobody's ever heard of, and he still can't get on the court. Not even in exhibitions. That's how far away he is from being ready. LeBron built this. Every time he posted about his sons on social media, he added pressure. Every time he talked about playing with Bronny in the NBA, he created a narrative that forced the Lakers' hand. And now both sons are struggling. Bronny is barely hanging on in the NBA. Bryce might redshirt at a college he's not ready for. The saddest part is that Bronny and Bryce could have had different paths. Bronny could have gone to a mid-major school where he'd be the star. Bryce could have committed to a smaller program where he'd play immediately. But that's not the path LeBron wanted. He wanted his sons at USC and Arizona. He wanted them in the spotlight, and in trying to make them into something they're not, he set them up for public failure. Look at the resources these kids have had. Private chefs, strength coaches, access to NBA facilities, training with professional players, the best everything, and they're still struggling. That tells you talent can't be manufactured. You can have all the advantages in the world, but if you don't have that natural ability, you're going to hit a wall. Bronny and Bryce hit that wall. Arizona has big games coming up against UCLA and UConn, ranked opponents, national television, but Bryce won't be playing. He'll be on the bench in his warm-ups watching his teammates compete. The redshirt decision protects Bryce's future, but it's also an admission that he's not ready. An admission that Arizona took a chance on a name and not a player. LeBron is one of the greatest basketball players who ever lived. But that doesn't mean his sons will be great. Genetics don't work like that. Talent doesn't transfer through DNA. Creating expectations that your kids can't meet is cruel. Because now Bronny and Bryce have to live with being labeled as disappointments. Not because they're bad people or didn't work hard, but because they were compared to a standard that was never fair. Here's the real tragedy. If Bronny and Bryce had different last names, nobody would care. Bronny would be a G League player trying to work his way up. Bryce would be a college freshman learning the game, but because their last name is James, every mistake gets magnified. Every failure becomes a headline. They never had a chance to just be normal players figuring things out. LeBron is 40 years old and still averaging over 23 points a game in his 22nd season. And he's watching his son struggle in situations he helped create. He wanted them to have opportunities. He wanted them to succeed. But wanting something and making it happen are two different things. No amount of money or influence can turn someone into an elite basketball player if they're not built for it. The comparison to Carmelo and Keon shows what happens when you do things right. Carmelo let his son choose Syracuse without pressure. He's working with Keon, but he's not living through him. He's just being a dad who happens to have basketball knowledge, and because of that approach, Keon is thriving. He's confident. He's actually contributing instead of watching from the bench. Bryce is going to have a long year at Arizona. Practices without games, workouts without competition. Maybe he'll come back next year stronger, or maybe this redshirt year will expose that he was never meant to play at this level. But right now, Bryce James is the poster child for what happens when hype exceeds reality. And Bronny, he's in the NBA, which should be a dream. but he's barely playing. When he does, he gets dunked on. He shoots under 30%. And the worst part is that Bronny seems like a good kid, humble and willing to work. But good kids who work hard don't always become NBA players. Being LeBron's son doesn't change that. So here we are, two brothers, two very public struggles, one sitting on an Arizona bench contemplating a redshirt year, one barely hanging on in the NBA, averaging 2 points a game, both carrying the weight of a last name that promised greatness but delivered something much more complicated. Is Bryce James worse than Bronny? Bronny at least made it to the NBA even if he's struggling. Bryce can't even get on the court in college. So yeah, Bryce might be having a tougher time, but they're both in impossible positions dealing with expectations they can't meet. Maybe that's the most important lesson here. You can be the best in the world at something. You can have all the money and influence, but you can't make your kids into versions of yourself. You can't force greatness on them. Bronny and Bryce aren't LeBron. They're not even close. And pretending otherwise hasn't helped anyone. So what do you think? Is Bryce about to redshirt his entire freshman year? Is he worse than Bronny? Do either of these kids have real NBA futures? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if you think Bryce will ever play meaningful minutes at Arizona. Hit that like button if this video opened your eyes. Subscribe because we're going to keep following this story. Sometimes reality hits harder than any defender ever could.